Okay, welcome to a new deep dive.
Hi there.
Get ready, because this one, it's pretty intense. We're heading into a New York City story.
Yeah, it involves cryptocurrency, alleged kidnapping, and really horrifying reports of torture.
Right, so our mission today is to go through the materials you've shared. We have news reports, a briefing document, to really understand what the sources say unfolded, who the key players are, and, what this might mean.
And looking at these sources, it really jumps out that this isn't your typical financial crime. Not at all.
Wow.
The level of alleged violence, the desperation tied to these digital assets described in the reports, it's extreme. We really need to look closer.
Definitely. So let's start by unpacking who the sources say are involved.
Okay.
At the center, we have John Woeltz. The reports describe him as a 37-year-old crypto investor originally from Kentucky.
Right. He's identified as the main accused party here.
And the other side, the alleged victim. He's described as a 28-year-old man from Italy.
Yeah. His name hasn't been released, at least not in the sources we have.
And there are slightly different takes on his connection to Woeltz.
Well, yes. Some reports say Italian tourist, others businessman, maybe even a former business partner.
Okay.
But the common thread is that they definitely had prior dealings, according to the sources.
Got it. And the scene for all this alleged activity, a very upscale Manhattan apartment.
Very upscale. A luxury townhouse, specifically in SoHo, on Prince Street.
And the rent, according to some accounts, just staggering.
Yeah, figures like $30,000, maybe even $40,000 a month were mentioned.
Wow. And there were other people mentioned too, right?
Correct. A woman, Beatrice Fulci, she was initially arrested, charged even.
But those charges were later declined.
Pending further investigation, yes. The reports also mention an unapprehended male, believed to be involved,
Okay.
and two butlers at the house who police were apparently expecting to interview.
Right. So let's get into the timeline from the reports. The victim arrives in NYC early May 2025, and the ordeal allegedly starts almost right away, May 6th, basically upon arrival at Woeltz's apartment, abducted.
And then, according to these accounts, it escalates fast and dramatically.
How so?
He was allegedly held captive for weeks inside that apartment.
Weeks. Wow.
Yeah, his passport was taken, and this detail is chilling an Apple Airtag reportedly placed on his neck.
On his neck, like a collar.
The implication seems to be, yes, to track him, prevent escape. Yeah.
And this brings us to the motive, which the reports seem pretty clear on.
Horrifyingly clear.
It was all about forcing him to give up his Bitcoin password.
Right, to empty his virtual wallet, extort millions.
The methods alleged to achieve this, they're just brutal. Can you walk us through what the sources detail?
It's rough. Reports mention being bound by the wrists with electrical cords, wires.
Okay.
It's allegedly drugged. Forced cocaine or crack cocaine. Electric shocks, using wires or a taser.
Shocks.
Yes, and one detail mentioned his feet being in water during this. Also, pistol whipped, hit in the head with a gun.
This is intense.
It gets worse. Dangled over a stair ledge, threatened with death, threats involving a chainsaw, dismemberment.
Oh my God.
And one report even claims his leg was cut with a saw, plus threats against his family back in Italy.
And there was physical evidence backing this up, reportedly.
That's what makes it even more disturbing. The reports say police found Polaroid photos
Of what?
scattered around what they called a blood-soaked home, showing the victim tied up, bound to a chair, gun to his head.
Unbelievable.
And even T-shirts, apparently, with pictures printed on them of the victim with a cracked pipe in his mouth.
So this wasn't just alleged threats. There was documented humiliation, too.
It certainly seems that way based on the sources. It paints a truly grim picture of what was allegedly happening in that SoHo apartment.
Okay, so how did he get out? How did this end?
Well, the escape, as described in the reports, sounds like sheer desperation.
Right.
He apparently believed he was about to be killed, so he told them he'd give up the Bitcoin password.
Okay, a desperate ploy.
Exactly. He said it was on his laptop, which was in another room.
And that created an opening.
It did. When Woeltz allegedly turned away to get the laptop, the victim saw his chance. He just ran.
Out of the apartment, barefoot.
Barefoot, and reportedly severely traumatized, ran right out onto the street.
And managed to get help.
Yes, he flagged down a traffic officer. That's what brought the police.
And the scene when police arrived must have been chaotic.
Witnesses quoted in the report certainly described it that way. Police with guns out, SWAT teams showing up, a fire truck even.
Right. But there was that strange detail about Woeltz's appearance during the arrest.
Yeah, quite striking. A neighbor apparently described him as looking calm, like a rich guy in a nice bathrobe, not distressed.
Odd contrast to the situation. And the apartment search. What else did they find besides the photos?
A lot, according to the reports. Cocaine, a saw, chicken wire.
Chicken wire.
Yes.
Yeah.
Body armor, ballistic helmets, night vision goggles, ammo, broken glass, bulletproof vest, a gun, and blood in various places.
Just a disturbing collection of items.
Very disturbing, consistent with a violent struggle and, well, planned activity.
So, Woeltz was arrested right there at the scene.
Mm-hmm. And the charges listed in the reports include kidnapping, assault, unlawful imprisonment, criminal possession of a firearm.
Some reports get more specific.
Yeah, mentioning second-degree assault, first-degree kidnapping, first-degree unlawful imprisonment. Serious charges.
And he was held without bail.
Correct. At the arraignment, reports say the judge considered him a significant flight risk.
Why? Because of money.
Apparently so. The prosecution argued he had the means to flee access to a private jet, a helicopter.
Wow. So he had to surrender his passport.
Yes. And his lawyer at that point reportedly had no comment.
Okay. And what about Beatrice Fulci, the woman arrested initially?
Right. As we mentioned, she was charged initially with first-degree kidnapping and unlawful imprisonment.
But those charges were dropped or declined.
Decline pending further investigation is how the reports put it. Prosecutors did state they believe others were involved.
Including that unapprehended male and the victim. He received medical treatment.
Yes. Taken to Bellevue Hospital. Treated for injuries that reports said were consistent with his account being bound assaulted.
Now, stepping back a bit.
Yeah.
This case, it's horrific on its own, but it has broader implications, doesn't it?
Okay.
Especially for the crypto world.
Absolutely. You can see in the reporting how this incident has understandably sent ripples through the cryptocurrency community.
How so? Reputation damage.
Potentially, yes. Raising questions, attracting the kind of attention that, well, nobody in that space really wants. Negative attention.
So for our listeners, why should you care about this beyond the shocking details?
Well, I mean, this case really throws a harsh light on the intersection of new tech, huge wealth, and vulnerability to, frankly, extreme crime.
Right.
And analysts quoted in some reports suggest this kind of event could lead to increased scrutiny, maybe even push for stricter regulations around crypto activities.
To prevent criminal use.
Exactly, to try and protect against this kind of exploitation. It echoes what happened after other crypto crimes where, loopholes were clearly exploited.
It forces you to think about how digital assets, while innovative, can also create targets for really brutal physical violence.
It really does. It's a stark reminder.
So let's try to summarize. We've taken this deep dive into the sources detailing this alleged kidnapping, the torture of an Italian man in NYC.
Allegedly by a crypto investor, John Woeltz, motivated by trying to steal Bitcoin.
The accounts paint this picture of just extreme violence, extreme desperation.
Yeah, we've gone through the alleged methods, the really disturbing evidence reportedly found, the first legal steps.
And the potential ripple effects, right?
Yeah.
For the crypto world, the calls for maybe more oversight.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a chilling reminder, isn't it, that huge potential wealth, especially in digital form, can intersect with brutal real-world crime, viscerally.
Absolutely. As the report suggests, this allegedly wasn't just about abstract money. It was about physical control, about extracting that digital key, apparently by any means necessary.
So we'll leave you with this thought to consider. As these digital assets become more valuable, more integrated into life, what new vulnerabilities are we actually creating? Unforeseen ones.
Right. And how can society, how can individuals adapt? How do we protect people from these, well, extreme forms of exploitation that seem tied to this new frontier of wealth?
Something to think about.
Definitely. Thank you for joining this deep dive.